Good morning. Welcome to Morning Java. We're here in Cranberry Township, home of the Lemieux Sports Complex. The Penguins practiced on Monday in preparation for their first-round playoff series with the Philadelphia Flyers. It just still has a good ring to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I like it. They practiced Monday. They practiced today. Those are the two practices we're going to see before get that cross-state rivalry going.
Get it going again. That's the thing, and that's the first question that I have for you. We hear a lot of people who will just reflexively say, oh, Penguins and Flyers, this is going to be a bloodbath, whatever. You've seen the Flyers.
Yeah, no,
they're not
that different, right?
Yeah, well, the Penguins have been this way for a while, but I think a lot of people don't realize that the Flyers have just become a fast...
Yeah, but there's no Max Talbot, you don't have any of the elements from the past couple of playoff series other than the stars. I mean, Joe's there, Malkin's there, Crosby's there, but that's it. You don't have those guys that are the same level of grittiness that you had in those series.
However, the people who are running the Flyers are still the Flyers, okay? We're still talking about Ron Hextall, Bobby Clark, Paul Holmgren. I can guarantee you, Sunday, that when these games get going, especially when they see Pittsburgh on the other bench, you're going to see a push from on high in the Philadelphia organization. Hey, how come this guy's not taking somebody's head off?
Yeah, I don't think it's just the Flyers, though. I mean, fans might not like this, but Sidney Crosby plays differently against the Flyers. Whether the same level of animosity should be there or not, he's more physical, he's chippier, he does slash at guys' hands at times.
So what do you think? Is it going to get rough?
I mean, if this series goes 6 or 7 games, it's going to get rough.
I have no doubt about that. And I think the first form of that roughness that you're going to see is the Flyers getting into Matt Murray's kitchen. Now, Derick Brassard returned to practice on Monday and fully, and you were impressed with him.
Yeah, I mean, he was skating fully with his line mates. He was playing with Phil, of course.
And Sherry. Sherry counts too.
He does it most times. But it was good to see him not just skating and not just going through the motions, but being out there as a full participant. He was out there with the second power play unit, so they weren't holding him back at all.
No, and I think when you have a Derick Brassard on a line with a Phil Kessel, you have two guys that are known throughout their careers. My goodness, Phil was even known for this when he was in Toronto and they didn't make the playoffs, as being big game players. Connor Sherry's had his share of big goals here. What I'm asking you here is there a possibility that we could see some version of a third line, if not necessarily something with an HBK impact?
Yeah, why not? I mean, the time away for Derick Brassard might have been a blessing just because of kind of the start.
He told me something to that effect, yeah.
And getting a fresh chance to make a new impression now in the playoffs against a team that everybody in Pittsburgh hates unless you're from there. But it's a fresh chance for him. It's a fresh start. The way that the guys played in the playoffs, the way that he played against the Penguins at times in the playoffs last year,
he was a killer.
I mean, he's going to have his chance.
Now, it's a good opportunity for Mike Sullivan to get what he really covets, which is 3 scoring lines. He wants 3 lines that can go, and he wants his 3 superstars split up. That's a big, big thing in his system.
Yeah, I mean, he might not be a Phil Kessel superstar, but the guy's a star, especially in the playoffs. And if they're scoring on all 3 lines, there's no way that the Flyers are stopping.
You would think so. Let's talk a little bit about Matt Murray. Boy, is he's in a good place mentally. I had a conversation with him Monday after practice, and he's got that slow heartbeat going. And on one hand, when we've seen him on the ice, when he's mad and he's trying to fight his way back from something, he'll be effective on the ice, but he's also got this to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's had a little bit of a weird season. Of course, the injury earlier in the season came against the Flyers. It wasn't anything malicious by any means, but
that was Jakub Voracek, of course, coming in on that partial break and sliding into his leg.
Yeah,
right?
into his leg, and I think from then it was just it was so up and down. There's been so much talk about Casey DeSmith and Tristan Jarry and who's going to be the backup, and it just never felt like Matt Murray was really finding himself the way that he's played the last couple of seasons.
Well, here it is. This is his element, and how I feel about it is that this is, as much as we talked about his regular season being his first chance to be a number one and to take charge with, Marc-Andre Fleury not around anymore, really, when you do that, is in the playoffs.
Yeah, and he's been so consistent through the playoffs. The way that he plays, his really more calculated approach to the game where he's just, taking the percentages away. He's making sure that he's in between the back of the net and the
if I've got one concern Sunday, it's that the Flyers' power play does so much east-west. You knew I was going to say that because you watched them up close. The Simmons to Giroux to Voracek to Simmons to Giroux, and it just goes back, and he's not the greatest east-west goalie.
No, I mean, we talked about last year how it was possible the Penguins don't get out of the first 2 rounds
if it wasn't for
Fleury. It wasn't for Marc-Andre Fleury. But
because Fleury is that guy.
Yeah. There's been problems on the penalty kill. They've been a little bit better the last week and a half or so, but they're going to have to shore it up against guys like Gostisbehere controlling the puck.
No, and that starts, I mean, as they always say, your best penalty killer is your goaltender. That's going to be doubly true, I think, in this round.
What's in your cup? Well,
Sunday.
Today, I'm not going to stop it. People have liked it.
I know, we're not going to stop it. Who's stopping it? Keep reading. What's in your cup segment?
I would switch Sherry and...
This is from News USMC. It's my man Brian up in Indiana.
Always with a good question. I would switch Sherry and Aston Reese on the line combos. Right now, Sherry's on the 3rd line, Aston Reese on the 4th line. But I like the lines otherwise. Kunakl and Joris are a toss-up. Both are good on the PK. Joris is faster, but Kunakl was a little better defensively.
And Kunakl blocks shots. Kunakl's in. He is in.
Yeah, I mean,
because you are missing shot blocking with Ian Cole. So no debate on Kunakl as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and I think he's played really well the last couple of games.
And there's that too.
He's a sizey guy. He's not the most physical guy, but he's a guy that you like to have with his body.
But what about Aston Reese versus Sherry on the 3rd line? Not that that's a debate. It really does look like they're going in with Sherry on that line.
I think Aston Reese is going to get more minutes than 4th line minutes because I think he's going to play at times with Sid when they need Sid to kind of double shift or go out there and just provide a little something extra in front of the net. Because we've talked about this before, it's Hornquist and then it's Gensel and Aston Reese. That's your net front presence. So if you don't have...
oddly enough, it may be in that order. People don't think of Gensel that way, but that's actually what he is.
But some of that's attributed to playing time too, right?
Sure.
But Aston Reese is going to get more minutes than a 4th liner or than the early 4th liner.
Aston Reese, I would look at him as the nuclear option type. I would say that he's a guy, first of all, he's coming back from a longer-term injury. He was out a month. He still needs a chance to to get himself acclimated and, rookie in the playoffs for the first time. So you get him out there, you let him take a couple of shifts, let him have that heartbeat racing and everything else. Now he gets comfortable, which is we've seen he does very quickly. Now you have a situation where, let's say Sherry's not producing on the 3rd line.
It happens at times. He's streaky.
Bang, plug and play. You put him out there between Phil and Brassard. We talked about this a lot. You have 2 guys that aren't going to go to the front. They just don't, neither of them, not that much, okay? That you have now a guy who can go out there and give them a bit of a different look. I like it.
Yeah, and I also think we'll see Joris at times too. I actually really like the way that he's played on the 4th line. I think that he fits the system. He's like what we talked about with Riley Shea early in the season. He might not be the best player for the system, but he fits it. The way that he plays it, he's the style of player that they like. And having depth at center in the playoffs especially, we've seen what it can be like in those draws in defensive zone. You got to have that extra stick in there at times. And I don't know, one guy goes down and you're looking at him being involved.
Penalty killing. Penalty killing comes first. Just remember that whenever we're talking about 4th lines and stuff like that, especially against a team like Philadelphia.